Hello, all you amazing beings out there. We are Mindfeelz, and today we are just talking.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to do something a little different today, tell you maybe a little more of our background, kind of why we started Mindfeelz, and kind of why we're talking about these different topics and how we keep our mindsets in the right frame of mind to be talking about the sensitive topics that we do, and just a little bit about who we are. So, this is Sheena. I'm Lauren.
Lauren.
Hopefully you know that by now.
It's Lauren with 2 A's, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
It's not Lauren.
Don't blow their minds.
It's
Laura
Lauren.
with an N. Lauren. And yeah, people often look at me like I'm saying my own name wrong when I introduce myself, because they're like, Lauren. I'm like, just Lauren. Just let it roll out. Just let it roll right out. It's fine.
It took me a while. I found myself a little resistant,
Well, you're like the only Sheena I've ever met. And you're
that
named
one's
after
easy. Just Sheena.
You're named
Can't really mess it
after a comic book character, right?
Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
There you go.
I was going to be a Brittany.
Mine's not as cool. I'm only named after my Nana.
I think that's cool. Nanas are cool.
I was going to be a Madison, so I wonder what that would have been like.
I can see you as a Madison.
Do you think my life would be different if I had a different name?
Yes, because you wouldn't be saying Lauren. People would
all the time. Wow, that's different. Well, we started Mindfeelz kind of at the beginning of...
It was the beginning of the pandemic.
The stay-at-home quarantine stuff. Whenever, actually, I think a couple of weeks before that started, we started talking about doing this. Sheena brought the idea because it's something we're both really passionate about, just exploration of humanity and everything that goes on in our mind and our emotions and how we relate to each other. And I'm studying psychology formally in school, and Sheena is just starting another formal program to learn alternative therapies and hypnotherapies, and she teaches yoga. So kind of it's just a natural desire for us to have these conversations and hopefully make a positive impact. I mean, really, the goal here is, we had someone kind of asking who's our audience. Everyone. Everyone who will listen, everyone who wants to gain some new perspective or just open up conversation for anyone and everyone.
And that's important, I think, because we're 2 women talking, and we're coming from obviously 2 women perspectives, but I think we both have a lot of both masculine and feminine energy. So we don't want this channel to just be about women. As much as we do want it to be about women, I think it's important to talk about stuff and let men listen too, because I think that we need to, and I guess in that way, I'm just talking about the man-woman dynamic. But everyone, lesbian, gay community, I just think that we are all one, and we're coming from this place of it's good to know from all these different perspectives what is going on with our people, and how to understand the next person. And I think we take a very open perspective, if you will. So, we're really trying to incorporate all types of perspective, because I think we can move in this place where we all do get along, even though we have different ideas. Yeah. But there's some inside of Lauren and I, there's this very it's a foundation mindset. It's a foundational mindset, and it kind of runs along the same plane. So we're coming from the same mindset, and we're building up that mindset for other people that are ready to be on board with that, and just how to live this joyful, compassionate life, how to accept people as they are, but also inspire people and motivate people, and come from these places that allow us to be more diverse, more conscious, more evolved, and really be comfortable and live a happy life.
And to challenge ourselves even, because these conversations challenge both of us as well. It's not just about us trying to inform an audience, because really we're giving information, but at the same time we're just exchanging ideas. These are our ideas. These are what we think and what we feel and our beliefs, and everyone's going to have a little bit different things flowing for themselves. So it's not, I wouldn't say, we were really whenever we were trying to come up with a name for what are we going to call this thing, Mindfeelz came because we care about the intellectual sides and the science and the really cool like exploration of the world through that view. And we also care about just the feelings and the emotions and the sensitivity and the things that you can't always put into words and you can't always see, you know, materially in the world around you. So we're coming up with that. It's like that combination of, you know, your head and your heart. People try to separate it a lot. And I think the best, like healthiest lifestyle is when you learn how to balance them and bring them together and find that like congruency between your mind and your emotions. And there is a beautiful balance there where they work together. Like our intellect works with our feelings, and instead of seeing them as these opposing things where it's like we have to choose, I'm either going to listen to my logical mind or I'm going to listen to my irrational feelings, and taking away some of that stigma of being emotional means you're irrational. That's not true. Like tapping into our emotions is really important. And there's a lot of wisdom in how we feel, like those instinctive things. There's a lot of wisdom there if we can really learn how to direct them. And that's kind of where that whole thing came from. And we were just trying to figure out how do we say who we are. And it's hard to do it with a word. It's hard to do it with a title. So this is part of like just getting to know you guys and getting to know us. And for me, like personally, I'm a mom. That's always like my number one identifier at this point, which I think it's, you know, interesting. I'm also a woman. I'm also, you know, I work, I'm a student, I have a boyfriend that I'm really close with. So there's a lot of other things about me that make me who I am, but I feel like motherhood has taught me who I am in a very strong way. So that's why it comes up as like my identifying thing. I'm always
She's
like,
also very nurturing.
like, that's it. And
she is very motherly even outside of being a mother.
Yeah, I'm just, AKA bossy, but sometimes.
That's not what I meant.
Sometimes.
But whatever.
No, you're right. It was something I always wanted to do, and I have respect and appreciation for people who never want to do that, and I have respect and appreciation for people who do. It's just a big part of me. So that's where I get a lot of this kind of like teaching, and this thinking comes from those experiences I've had and experiences with my past family. I think Sheena and I both have had like some complicated family backgrounds, and it's taught us a lot. And Sheena's background is really interesting too, and she has many hats.
Yeah. Which hats do I wear, or which ones sit on the forefront? Sometimes I don't always like to admit to all the ones that sit on the forefront, but
I can tell you everything.
I think for me, it's like I am woman. I would say I have a very feminist sort of side, but at the same time, I'm more about this yogi sort of value system. I mean, I've been teaching yoga for a very long time. Yoga came to me when I was young. My mother took me to first class when I was 14. Then I started teaching for the first time when I was deployed to Afghanistan. I taught through a chaplain, and I taught to soldiers, and that was before I even had a certificate. So I didn't even get qualified to do that till 2011. So it's been a foundation for a lot of my discovery, but I've read a lot. And I think that's another thing that kind of makes me me. And it also makes me not anything particular, because I am a scientist in my own right. And I've read so much that it's like, what I notice is all of it kind of comes together at some point. No one way sticks out to me.
Yeah,
and
same.
It allows me to respect and understand the world. And sometimes it also, it goes the other way. I get upset at people because I'm like, God, you know, you're so this way. Like, you know, there's so many people and it's so diverse. And, you know, what if it all can exist? So that's probably where a lot of my values come from. The reading, from the yoga. And then as a human, a woman, I think, who also has probably, the military has created some trauma in me, my past, my family, you know, I think there's always stuff that comes up with that. And I always like to preface it as I think we all do the best we can. So, you know, my family watches this. I love them very much, and I'm so grateful for my upbringing and where I've come from. But we do all have trauma from our past, and I'm 100% deep into the generational trauma. And I think that as a whole unit, and we could see it right now, that generational trauma is huge, and we actually talking about that here in the coming episodes. And then I was listening to what you're saying, so I wanted to talk about that for a second. It was like the head and the heart thing, and I love what Lauren said, because that is so true, and I didn't really think about it like that. It is we do think about it, follow your heart, follow your head, or it is a separate thing, and now we are about bringing those into alignment, and then in alignment with the overall natural world and what works best for us as a human race. And I think that's what you'll find in our show a lot, is we'll talk about a topic, and we kind of get into it, we break it apart, we build it up, and then we talk a lot about how it applies to the whole. And I think it's connecting the mind, connecting the heart, and then how do we then connect with the unit, the human race. And I don't know, as for me, I'm excited for our future. I really truly believe, we were just talking with Lauren's mom this morning about how simple, but we were talking about how, something great will come out of all this. We won't see it for maybe a little while, but we do. I am very deeply rooted in faith, and that we might not see it for a little while, but that it always does get a little bit harder before it gets more beautiful. So
yeah, and those that breaking down kind of things reveals a new kind of clean slate to build other things. And whenever I became a mom, I was really young, and it was my choice, and I was married very young, and I came from kind of a chaotic, broken, dysfunctional family situation. There was abuse and addiction, and so I was exposed to these really heavy things from a very young age. And I love my family as well, and we have a lot of support there, and there's been a lot of healing there through efforts like conversations with them too, and my own growth. Whenever I decided to become a mom my own, my ideal was to raise this child with that cohesion between feelings and having a voice, and also how to respect each other, and how to really find ourselves and learn what we're really good at, and how do you build up who you are so that you influence the world. And I remember as I'm raising my son, and I personally chose to not do any corporal or physical punishment. All of our consequences have been reward consequence driven, where privileges are lost and timeouts and things like that. So it's just, everybody's seen it happen. So I use a lot of language. We use a lot of talking. We use a lot of offering choices and choosing, what you think is the better choice. And if you choose a choice that's not, going to have a good effect, then you're going to have a negative consequence. So just trying to teach that to a person. And, my logic there was just what if we raise a whole generation of kids this way? What would happen to the world if a whole generation of children were raised with compassion and, empathy and awareness, and not just self-awareness, but awareness of others, awareness of the world. And, every day is a new challenge to try to bring that in. But that's kind of what we're doing here, is how do we help build that in people who have been wounded, and people who are going through things, and people who have been broken, and maybe they don't have that person to tell them, these things, and they don't have that source. So we do a lot of research. I've always been huge into reading, and Google is such a good friend to me. If I want to know something, I'm going to find it out. And that natural curiosity kind of has helped me learn to explore life. And
we're both very meticulous.
Yeah, a little bit perfectionist sometimes. Releasing that has been interesting, because failure has been a huge teacher as well. And learning to embrace failure has been a really big thing for me. I think lately that's what I've been working on. And when you were talking about how the mind and heart thing, how they work together and we don't have to separate them, I think that's also a lot of what we do with our success, our failure, our growth, and our times when we're feeling low, and the times when we're really challenged versus the times when we're doing great. They're not opposing times or places in our lives. They all work together for that bigger shaping of who we are and who we want to be and realizing our purpose. It comes from all those things. So learning how like to stay positive, and right now there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of heavy things going on, and it feels frustrating and it feels sad, and there's a lot of grief and suffering and just confusion. And so working to really protect like these mindsets that we have, and how to stay positive, and how to understand that this is all working together for the greater, you know, evolution of who we are and humanity. And I think humanity is changing, and there's like, you know, always, but we're working to like change for the better and stay positive on that.
Yeah, and that's what all this is about for us, truly. The idea is, as we continue making these episodes, that people will write into us, talk to us about topics that they want to hear about. We want to keep it very relatable. So, I mean, I think we do a pretty good job. We are out in the world. We still do have jobs. So we're out there and we talk to people. I mean, I think that's all part of the research. So when we're out there speaking to people, I'm looking for what are people dealing with right now? What is heavy on people? What makes people light? What makes people happy and joyful right now? You know, I think connection and community is a really big deal. And especially in times where we're being asked to stay home more often, or to separate ourselves, or be 6 feet apart, that we still have to remember that community and people is really what makes us, I think, a softer species.
Yeah.
So we do need to figure out ways to do that. And I think this is another way, another option to be able to speak to people on this sort of platform, and put out topics and put out information and to talk about things. I think communication is probably one of the biggest healers of all. And I think communication, we haven't gotten there yet. We just don't know what that is yet. Like, as much as we may have tried so far, it's just not there yet. And I think communication is when we talk, when we can sit with one another and we can talk without getting angry at one another, without getting frustrated, without walking away or throwing up our hands, where we really talk through things. And I know in my own personal journey that sometimes I just need to talk, you know, and when I hold things in, it fizzles and it gets worse and it gets frustrating, and when I talk through them, it allows me to expose those sort of things that I'm dealing with in my mind. And I think some people might say that they don't need to talk or communicate. I don't think ignoring things is necessarily the way to do things either.
No.
You know, I think that we do need to talk, and we need to talk to our brothers and sisters and our husbands and wives and our significant others and our family members and our children, because that's how we work through this. That's probably what our government needs. That's what our borders need, you know, is that communication and figuring out how do we make this work between us. And we all are a part of that.
Relating on a human level. And there's a lot of focus on what makes us different from each other, and
that's true.
Shifting it over to what makes us the same. I mean, what can we share so that we can look at each other and find a common ground and a mutual like respect and a safe space? And it's hard, and it's looking at that on the big scale right now. We don't see it. I mean, we don't see it in our leadership. We don't see it in our government, and a lot of the people and institutions we're looking to in our community, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that compassion. We're not seeing that desire to, I hear you, I acknowledge you, I take the good things from what you have to say, and then I allow space, you know, and then come and let you know what I have to say without it being such, you know, so much opposition. And we're not there on those bigger scales. So that's why we do this, because here on this couch, you know, in my living room, like, that's happening, and it will always happen that way. And it will always happen in our conversations with anyone who wants to write in or comment or ask questions or share feedback, even if it's negative feedback. Like, if you don't like what we had to say,
it's part
like,
of communication.
Okay, like, if there's something we need to re-examine, we want to know. And how to it starts with these individual things that we're doing. And that's really why, you know, this is important to me. I feel like this is important, what we're doing. And hello, child.
Are you done?
No, we're not done. Hey, head back in.
Is Ryan?
Yeah, you can go say hello. Sorry for the interruption. That's my offspring.
So
Finley, we're live, so bye-bye. Love you. Going out. Thank you.
Thank you, Finley.
I'll let you know when. Well, that's a first. So
This is first.
well, that whole thing about me being a mom, now y'all know it's real.
wasn't a
It's
lie.
legit.
Actually, he's an actor. We had him do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's us.
That's,
I think for now that's good. We're
Yeah.
learning, we're growing, we're always we're moving towards whatever this is. And we're really thankful for any viewers right now or anybody subscribing and writing us. That's a big deal to us.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. I had like 2 new subscribers on the YouTube channel the other day, and I was
very
like,
exciting.
wrote Lauren.
Yeah. I noticed it too. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add about?
No, like us, follow us.
Talk to us.
Yeah. It would be cool to eventually be able to do some live shows and things like that, but we do need probably a little bit more people looking at us. And then when it comes down to the we do the podcast version, so we just have the podcast, and then we have the YouTube version where we're doing the video. So I think we're just playing with those and kind of seeing what we're supposed to be doing in terms of being able to do what we love and passionate about. So that's what it is for us.
We're learning and growing, and it's just this like continual journey, this process, and the goal is just to bring more light and more joy and more positivity and into our own lives and into everybody else around us who we influence and we come across, and for this just to be a place where we can ask questions and we can be open and discuss. And so thanks for listening to a little bit more about Mindfeelz and what we hope to do and what we are doing. I think
we're doing it. We're not stopping, so I can assure you that much.
I know we're not going to give up, so that's
So Instagram, like us. iTunes, Apple. We are now on Apple Podcasts, which is really nice. We are on YouTube, so if you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. And then we do have a Facebook as well that we're kind of, maintaining. So.
Well, I'm Lauren Garrison.
And I'm Sheena Dressel.
And we are
Mindfeelz.
That was